Hello, and welcome to Wedding Chatter with Steph and Laura. We're back again. We haven't filmed a tour since before the shutdown. March, yeah. And we're here with Amy, and her husband Matt are the owners and everything else at Storehouse 408. We thought we'd come out today. It's in Cambridge and Hustler. We wanted to see what you have to offer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
So just a few general wedding questions for all the couples out there who are probably wanting to know. What is the capacity at Storehouse 408?
So we can technically fit up to 160 in here seated. We can allow for 180 cocktail style or theater style. We always like to say though that our most comfortable capacity is somewhere in the realm of 120. Anything over that, and we have to get a little bit creative with the floor plan, and we perhaps have to move a table or two to make room for a dance floor. So we can do up to 160, and we've done it before. For weddings, we think around 120 is a good number.
Okay. And obviously, like, the restrictions are changing constantly with COVID, so
that's right.
You can do small space. You can do small weddings in here, obviously.
That's right. We're set up today for a wedding of 35, and it actually fits quite nicely in here. Yeah, right now we can do up to 50 people technically. So
yeah, and you have a great outdoor space too, which we'll show later.
That's right.
But I really like that you have the outdoor space.
Yes. Yeah, it allows for people to spill outside and a little bit more room to breathe, which is nice.
Yeah.
Now, do you do ceremonies and receptions here, or is it one or the other?
We do both. We see a lot of ceremonies outside, especially during the warmer months. When we go out there, you'll see why that is the case. It's a big, expansive space with a fireplace. We do see a lot of ceremonies inside too. Like today, we're doing a quick room flip to allow for a quick reception to happen afterwards. So depending on the weather, a lot of our clients do opt to have the ceremony inside and then either have the ceremony where the tables are already set so they don't have to flip the room, or to flip the room. But yes, typically we see ceremonies outside and receptions inside.
Okay. And can people bring in their own vendors here, or do you only use like preferred in-house vendors?
With the exception of the caterer, yes, they can bring in any vendor that they want. We have a list of recommended vendors that have worked with us, that we've worked with, that we have a really good relationship with, and so we like to recommend those vendors because they know our space, we trust each other. When it comes to the caterer, they do have to choose one of our 3 caterers to work in the space.
And catering handles the bar, or can couples do their own bar?
At this point, the caterer handles the bar. We do have a liquor license, and we're just working on the insurance piece of that puzzle. So until then, the caterer does all of the bar. Yeah.
So if I were to book Storehouse 408, what all would be included in my booking package?
So we do have a full day package that gets you access from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. And then included in that is all of your tables, chairs, and white linens. So we include up to 160 of these gold wire chairs, and then up to 20 dining tables with white linens. So by dining table, that typically means 5 foot rounds or 6 foot rounds, or 6 foot or 8 foot rectangular tables.
Oh, nice.
So the client can choose what shape and size of table they want to create the floor plan that they sort of envision for their wedding.
Yeah. And how did Storehouse 408 come to be?
It was a long labor of love. My husband and I always wanted to do this. We got married about 11 years ago, and obviously at the time there wasn't a lot of choice for venues. Certainly that's not the case anymore. There's a lot of beautiful venues around here now. But we just found that there was something missing, and so for a good 8 years we were on the hunt for a space. We knew we wanted to buy the building, and we knew we wanted it to have some character and some outdoor space and a great location and some parking, and we found it to be very challenging to find the building that checked all those boxes. And then after, a good 8 years of searching, we found this building, which is right around the corner from where we live, and actually didn't have the character that we were looking for. It is an old beer store. It was one of
I remember that.
Yes, so it was one of the first beer stores, I believe, in Canada. The building was built back in the 60s, and so the building itself didn't have any of the character that we were looking for, but it had everything else. It had the space. It's a 4,000 square foot building. It had the outdoor space. It had the parking area. So we thought, okay, we can inject character into this space because it has everything else that we're already looking for. And so we bought the building at the end of 2017. lost a little bit of sleep. Oh my gosh, what have we done?
Yeah.
And then we spent about a year renovating it.
Okay.
And then we officially opened in May of 2019.
Yeah, I love what you did to the floors.
Thank
One
you.
of the first things that
You know what?
noticed.
We actually didn't do much to these. These are the original floors. They were just this was the fridge area of the beer store.
Oh, wow.
So there were no windows, there was no doors, no overhead door.
Yeah.
And we just polished up these
Yeah,
floors.
I love polished concrete.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thanks.
Any other questions Brad would ask? Any other questions you normally get? I'm like,
We get a lot of questions about can we bring our dog? Yes, you can bring your dog, as you know, with the polished concrete.
Yeah.
It's easy to clean up if something were to happen. So yes, we do allow dogs. We just have to say once it's dinner time, the dog has to be
Right.
on or locked up or something.
For sure.
Yeah.
do you have a kitchen on site?
We do. It's a prep kitchen.
Yes.
So because our caterers have the ability to either cook off-site in their own kitchens or they bring their kitchens here in their trucks.
Yeah.
Depending on the menu item, they either cook on-site in their kitchens or they cook off-site and then they hot hold it to come here. So our kitchen is a big space that has a sink and a bunch of prep area. So that's where they do all of their prepping and plating before they serve it up.
Cool. I noticed in one of your Instagram posts that you had talked about there's so many nice spots to do photos around here. And you're like right close to the river in Hespeler. So I think that's really cool because that's the one thing I find about a lot of venues that are more in like city cores, that there's not a lot of access usually to as nice of locations for photos.
You know what? We get that's one of the questions we get the most from clients is where can I take pictures around here? And although, because I live in Hespeler,
Yeah.
I know of a lot of the cute little hotspots, not everybody does.
Right.
Yeah.
So we put together a document
Yeah.
that shows here are some of the great spots within 5 minutes of the venue that you can take pictures. And we had some photos taken and people can actually see what their picture might end up looking like.
Yeah.
And it has all the details in this document. And I send that to all of the clients when they ask.
Yeah, that's great.
We also have amazing spaces to take photos within Storehouse. Like there's the
Yeah.
accent wall on the outside, there's the brick wall
brick
here,
wall.
and the lighting in here. Like it's gorgeous. So there's a lot of great spots.
Yeah.
for
We get a
photos.
lot of the photographers who are in here for the first time. Every time they go, thank you, there are windows in here.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of great
Like roll-up door side lights, the ceremony, which is great.
Yes, yeah, which is really nice. And it's really handy on a beautiful, sort of warm evening. You have that door open and you can have this sort of al fresco vibe, indoor, outdoor.
Yeah.
The dance floor is usually over on that side of the room. So that door can be open and guests can just kind of
Nice.
get out in and out, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's cool. All right, why don't we get you to show us around the space, Amy, and give us a quick tour?
Let's do it.
Okay, sounds good.
Welcome to Storehouse for our week. Come on in. So we're in our entry vestibule here. So if you look down, you can see our fun little welcome detail in the floor, which people tend to get a kick out of. And then if you look up, you can see the old beer rollers from the old beer store. We were trying to find a creative way to repurpose these, and so we thought, why not put them on the ceiling of the vestibule? So it's just a fun little nod to the old beer store. And then come on in to the main room. All right, so here we are in the main space. So like I said, we can fit up to 160 people in here. 120 is kind of a more comfortable number for a wedding. That way we can fit dance floor, perhaps food stations, or a buffet, whatever the case may be. So clients tend to ask us, where do things usually go? So right now we're set up for a ceremony, which is not typical. Usually we see ceremonies outside, and then our tables are set up inside. But when you do a ceremony here, this is how it's set up, where the ceremony is up against the brick wall. For this particular wedding, we do have our copper arch, which is an extra rental item that the client for today has decided to rent. And it's a nice, it kind of goes well with our gold chairs. It has that same look and feel to the chairs, so a lot of our clients like to use that. When it's set up for a reception, what we usually see is the head table or the sweetheart table is up against the brick wall, and then the dance floor is right here in front of the head table, and then the rest of the tables, the guest tables, surround the dance floor around the rest of the room. So that's typically what we see. It's not always that way. It doesn't always have to be that way. It all depends on the client's kind of vision for their wedding, but that's usually how it happens. And then we usually see the DJ or the band set up close to the dance floor, whether it's in that corner or over here. They want to be close to the dance floor, or sometimes on the dance floor. And then we can head outside. I'll open the door here. on outside. So this is our outdoor courtyard area. So it's actually quite a bit bigger than our indoor space. So we've got about 2,600 square feet of outdoor space here. We designed it to be totally open to allow for ceremonies out here. So what we usually see is the bride walks in through the gates that are behind you and then makes her entrance. So she walks in over here and then makes her entrance over here. While the chairs are set up, the aisle's down the middle, and the ceremony happens in front of the fireplace. So this is a fully working gas fireplace that we can turn on. It does kick off quite a bit of heat as well, so it's good for a cooler day. And you can always use our arch outside, which a lot of clients like to do, or some of them like to actually put florals right on the fireplace. And then the ceremony happens right here. After ceremonies, when it's done, usually people walk back up the aisle, and then the cocktail hour happens at the back of the courtyard before people come inside for dinner. So at the front, we typically have a welcome table here. This is where the client likes to have their guest book, their gifts, and anything else that they need at the welcome table. And then right over here, we have our washroom area. So we have 7 individual powder rooms. They are gender neutral powder rooms, including 1 accessible washroom with a baby change table. This space is fully wheelchair accessible if that is a need, including the courtyard. And then if you come on this way, we have our flex room area. So this is our client area where we typically see the client uses for the whole day. The doors do lock, and so they often like to put their personal belongings in here, including their gifts later on in the night so that they know that they're secure. There is a sneaky door from the vestibule, so oftentimes we see one of the partners is in here waiting before the ceremony if they don't want to be seen beforehand, or if they don't want to see each other beforehand. So this is our flex room. And then right over here around the corner, the client has their own washroom. We did design it to be a little bit larger than the other washrooms, just to accommodate for perhaps some dresses or bridesmaids, groomsmen, that sort of thing. And we can come on back this way. And then we do have our kitchen area back there. Usually what we see is the caterers load in through the back door. They do have their own load-in door so that they're not disrupting the event. And they do all of their prepping and plating out there, and then they serve out this way. And that's it.
Before we wrap up our tour today, I just wanted to ask one more thing. Are there any hotels nearby?
Yes, there are lots of hotels in the area. Because we're located about a minute off the highway, just at Hespeler Road and 401, there's a ton of hotels right around here. Some of them are even within walking distance. There are 2 hotels that we partner with that offer preferred rates for our guests for group blocks. And they actually also offer shuttle service for their guests to come here, so that the guests don't have to worry about bringing their car. So that's located on our website. You can see all of our partners, including the 2 hotels that we partner with.
Well, thank you so much for having us out today, Amy. It was really nice to see Storehouse 408 and to see the tour and everything that you have to offer out here.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, guys.
Like and subscribe. And,